Okay, so for the last 30 years, the National Conflict Resolution Center here in San Diego has worked to solve issues of the community, of landlord-tenants, of students. So joining me this morning to talk more about what the NCRC does, Steve Dinkin, president of the National Conflict Resolution Center, along with Rick Bregman, market president of Bank of America. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Okay, so Steve, I want to talk to you because people at home are hearing solving conflicts in a civil manner. In this day and age, how do you get that done?
Well, we see that there's so much incivility at all levels of society, and as an organization, we're working proactively through communication training, conflict management training, inclusivity training in schools, at universities, in the communities, to help individuals proactively address the issue before it really escalates into more serious issues.
So let's give everybody an example. Give us a good example of, I love the program with the youth that sometimes find themselves in trouble at school. Give everybody an example.
So the National Conflict Resolution Center has created a coalition of foundations, law enforcement organizations, and companies like Bank of America, all coalescing together to try to keep youth out of the pipeline to prison.
How do you do that, though?
So we're working in schools. For example, what happens typically in a zero-tolerance situation, kids commit an offense and they're suspended or expelled. And once they're out of the classroom, they're in the pipeline to prison. So
they get in trouble outside,
exactly.
They find other trouble, and then they find themselves in trouble with the law, and then they get caught up in the system. So you're trying to avoid that before it starts.
Right, working in partnership with the school system, they brought us in where we can mediate, have a restorative conference, teach restorative practices to have the youth work with teachers, with people from the community to work through the issue and stay in school rather than being suspended or expelled.
So, and it's not just with students that you work with. You also work with, like I just mentioned at the top, tenant and landlord that come into dispute over whatever. This is for them to come to an agreement or a resolution before it gets to court or gets ugly. Right.
The key is to be proactive. We established, for example, a center in Southeast San Diego called the Center for Community Cohesion. And what we're trying to do is work with the community to bring them together in a dialogue. So people are avoiding the conversation. That's what's creating the tension. If we can bring them together, let's say police and citizens, we're working a lot with law enforcement, bringing them together with the citizens to try to address the issue before it really becomes much more serious.
So, Rick, why did Bank of America see that this organization is so positive? Why do you guys get involved with them?
Well, I got to tell you, I think we all feel the same way in terms of disputes. And unfortunately, we are living in this world where disputes are escalating far too quickly and into situations where, frankly, there's violence and ultimate tragedies. And so I think we've come together and said, unfortunately, we've learned how to deal with crisis once it happens. But I think we're all asking ourselves, what can we do to get ahead of it? What can we do to get into the prevention business?
Right, and that's where this organization comes in. You are really trying to get it on the front end. Now the question is, how do you pay for these services? How do the people that find themselves needing your help pay for these services? How do you guys sustain yourselves?
So as I described, the Center for Community Cohesion Southeast San Diego, all of that work is pro bono. The mediations that we do in the community, it's all pro bono. So we get funded through the court system, through government grants, through Live Well San Diego has been a major partner of ours, and so we receive contract funding, philanthropy. It's a range of different revenue sources that allow us to do these programs, many of them at no cost.
So I imagine that's a lot of work to also find the funding to get all these programs going, right?
Well, that's always a big part of the puzzle, but as Rick was saying, this is such a important time in our lives, in our community, where there is so much incivility that organizations are looking to groups like ours to try to address these issues.
Okay, so Steve, I have to tell you that we decided to bring you here today, along with our friends from Bank of America. And it's not just to talk about your wonderful organization. and I will let you finish it.
Thank you,
Go ahead.
Lisa. Look, Bank of America has been in San Diego for 95 years now, and our company and our employees are unbelievably generous in terms of how they give back and try to make a difference in the community. But we run one program, and we've been doing this since 2004. It's called our signature philanthropic event, and it's called the Neighborhood Builder Program. It's unique in that it combines a certain amount of flexible funding, $200,000, along with training for somebody like Steve, an executive who's trying to take his not-for-profit or her not-for-profit to another level, to make a bigger impact here in San Diego and hopefully somewhere else as well as you go national. We're fortunate in that the National Conflict Resolution Center is here in San Diego, and I'm happy to say today that the NCRC is our 2017 neighborhood builder. So congratulations.
That is
$200,000.
just
Here you go.
fantastic news.
Here's
Thank
your
you,
big
Rick.
here's your big check.
Thank you.
Well, that's a big surprise. In a sense, it's not a surprise because Bank of America has always been so proactive and such a great partner. This is just wonderful news. So,
Tell me how this money will help the organization.
It would allow us to be much more forward-thinking. This is funds that will help us learn cutting-edge ideas. We're always trying to create models that are not just for our own community, but also for the nation. And this funding will help us to develop these models and take it and build more in depth in our own community, but also on a national level.
Personally,
This is
I'm
fantastic.
sure personally you're very excited.
This is just fantastic. It's a complete surprise. So
I'm glad.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Well,
This
the
is
work
great
you are
news.
doing and the NCRC is doing is absolutely fantastic. And we hope that we bring visibility here, and we hope that we make that shift, again, away from crisis management, away from tragedies, and how do we get ahead of these and prevent
Proactive.
them. Absolutely.
It's perfect. Gentlemen, thank you for coming in. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you so much. This is-
$200,000.
yeah, well, we'll definitely be able to put that to good use.
All right.
Yes, thank
We'll
you.
be right back with more Good Morning San Diego after this.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Great prices on KUSI.com. This month.